there? Oh, hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to my stream, and welcome to another chapter. Another chapter working on that guy right there. That's our 1969 Corvette by Revell. We'll run the intro. We'll get started. Okay guys, we're back and we're going to continue on our build. As you could tell, I was just doing a little bit of some detail painting there on our air cleaner that's going to go on top of our carburetor when that time comes. And my desk is getting a little bit cluttered because I'm working on other projects at the same time that I'm doing this. So let me move some of my projects, quote unquote, out of the way here, and so we can have some room. What are we going to do today? Well, today let's start by going over a little bit what I did off camera, which really wasn't much, but I got the rims. Our rims are ready to be installed. Let's take a look at these. Okay, so here's our Corvette Rally rims that is going to be going on our little car here eventually. So what I did is I painted the, obviously after priming it black, painted the inner part here silver. It's really a what I chose was aluminum. To me, as flat aluminum is a good facsimile of the argent silver that they use. And then of course I used my chrome to do the outline, and I did panel liner on the inside there to give our little hollows some life. So yeah, there's our Corvette Rally rims all done and ready to go. And that's really about all I did off camera. That's really all I did. Oh, I got their seat belts painted. Yes, remember I said we're going to come back and we're going to have the seat belts painted? I'll show you these guys. Our seat belts are all painted up. So we've got some nice chrome buckles and flat, or sort of a semi-gloss black seat belts. And that's it. So that's our interior bucket. Okay, that's all done. Done and done. Okay. Somehow I got a little bit of a schmutz in the back of my interior there. I don't know where that came from. I'll have to clean that out eventually. Looking at the instructions, it looks like we're starting to get into doing some stuff on the body. So I want to start with that today. I have to address the elephant in the room, and the fact is the body's not painted yet. The body still says sitting here with black primer on it, and well, it should be a nice shiny gloss black, shouldn't it? My dad's Corvette was gloss black. I don't think, back in the late 60s, did anybody do their cars in a flat color? I don't think so. I don't think they did. Let's get this off of here. What I need to do is just take some sandpaper and just kind of very lightly sand it down a little bit to get any overspray off of it. So I'm going to get some actually I'm going to use my sanding sponge here, 10,000 grit. Almost feels like paper. So I just want to just kind of go over it very lightly, like this. The body on this car is actually pretty good. As far as the molding goes, I can't really complain. I've got nothing to complain about when it comes to the mold on this kit. No big seam lines or anything going along. Yes, we had a little bit that I had to sand down a little bit here on our corners, but no big crazy lines, and that's what I like. That makes me feel good. There's many other things that make me feel good, but that makes me feel good too. Yeah, so just a very light sand. I'm going to do that. Now we'll just kind of wipe it down. And we're going to try the old gloss black, which I hate doing because it's almost like all the dust mites in the room, they hear that gloss black getting prepared and they just go, hey guys, we get to live in it, let's go. And all of the dust mites come and flock to the gloss black. For me, actually, it's any gloss paint. So I'm going to try and minimize my troubles by using my Tamiya Craft Tools model cleaning brush. It's anti-static. Okay, so in theory this stuff does help in removing any static that might cause the dust to stick. Okay, now there's other tricks you could do. You could take a spray bottle, fill it with water, spray it around your room, and kind of convince the dust to stay. There's all these little tricks. I mean, honestly, unless you've got a downdraft spray booth or whatever, you're not gonna, it's not gonna do anything. You're not gonna get perfect, and that's what sucks about this. I have to do coat after coat after coat after coat. All right, I have not really prepared my little situation over here for painting, and I've got other projects and stuff sitting on my bench right now. Let me just move these, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I don't want to disturb too much, and I will change this camera here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. This is, you know, I'm just spraying with Tamiya's, I'm going to be using Tamiya's TS14 black spray. Just very simple, very easy, very quick. Let's get this body on here. One thing that is nice is the hood is on there. It's not going to go anywhere. And I don't have like body colored bumpers or panels to put on this thing. It's all one piece molded. So that really makes life easier that way. But you need to, you know, get this thing sprayed. So that shaken up, we're going to lay down a coat. I'm going to start by hitting it at this angle down underneath. It's hard for you to see because it's black, sorry about that. That's the problem with black things, right? I don't mean to be racist. Want to just, if I can, just hang it upside down to reduce the amount of dust that's going to collect on it. I'm going to try that trick. I am going to try it. I'm going to try that. I'm going to just use a clamp and clamp this thing to the underside of my desk, my table here, and we're going to try that and see how it comes out. I don't know if it's going to work. I really don't, but we're going to give it a shot. I'll just use one of my great big clamps here, and we'll just clamp it under here. Let's see, somewhere where it's out of the way, where I'm not gonna. There we go. And we'll just let that sit. And that's what we're gonna do. And we can focus on other things now. Because I want to let that cure for a long time. I'm gonna give it, well, you see, I gotta do it in steps. I gotta let that cure and then wet sand it, because I want to do a second coat, at least a second coat, maybe even a third, but I need to wet sand it and get down any dust, because I know for a fact there's going to be dust or hair or something on that, and so that needs to be cleaned up. I need to sand those down before you do the next coat, and eventually you get to a point where, okay, it's good enough, we've got it thick enough of a color. It's been sanded, it's smooth, and now we can do a clear coat on it and do the process all over again with clear coat. I am going to be trying a different clear coat on this kit. I'm going to be using my airbrush and airbrushing the clear on it. I've never done that yet. I have not used my airbrush for clear coat. You guys seen me use the TS14 or 13, whatever it is. You guys have seen me use the Tamiya Clear lots of times. I just use this because, you know, it's easy to get a nice heavy coat that covers everything nice and at the same level. Well, this is going to be my learning experience on how to actually airbrush a clear coat on there. Yeah, so that's going to be that. In the meantime, I want to go back and continue on our chassis because we didn't quite get that done because we had things like exhaust, and I had to wait for the radiator to cure. I actually wound up, after about an hour, the radiator was still a little bit wobbly, so I wound up still with the tape on it. I just took some CA glue and put it in the two corners there, and of course CA glue goes, yeah, I'm holding on forever now, and so yeah, I can hold the car up by the radiator because she ain't going nowhere now. So yeah, that's done. But there was still some suspension and stuff like that on the front underneath that we needed to get taken care of. Step number 6 was the radiator. Step number 7 was exhaust. And now we've got step number 8. Looks like our steering box, they call it. Okay. So we're going to take number 47 off of the sprue. We're going to change the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, and I'm going to change the glasses so I can see what I'm doing. That is important, that I actually can see what I'm doing. Alright, so number 47 is our steer box here. I'm actually curious. Did the 1969 Corvette have power steering? I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea. So here's our control box, and it's supposed to go in down under here somewhere. They're not exactly like, I'm going to show you. This is so confusing. If I really didn't know anything about cars and how this is supposed to go, if this was like maybe my second or third model kit that I was ever building, I wouldn't have a clue. They show you here in the steer box in that direction going right there. So what's that telling you to do? If I put my chassis in that direction and I grab the steer box, it looks like I should do it maybe something like this or something like that. It's really, really confusing, and that is totally wrong. You don't want to do that. It doesn't go like that. This arm has to go back towards your steering wheel, or it's going to go down towards your rack. One or the other, right? That's got to connect somehow. But I was looking at that and I was like, what the heck? So I gotta look, and right there you skip step 9, you go to step 10, and step 10 they show it right here installed in the direction it's supposed to go, just like that. So what that tells me is this little funky tab thing that's sticking down at the bottom is supposed to line up on this notch of the frame like this, and our steering box is supposed to go in like that, because essentially what you think about the illusion, this is supposed to sit back like this, and our steering box would be connecting maybe to the firewall, something like this, right, going to where your steering wheel is, right, that kind of thing. So the real challenge is figuring out how it's supposed to actually sit in here and at what angle and everything like that, because it's not precise. It looks like we've got a little bit of a notch right here on an angle. That's probably supposed to rest on top of the frame and give us our angle that it's supposed to sit at. Like this. So I'm going to go with that. And we're going to put some glue on our frame so that it will have at least an inkling of staying put when I let go of it. Get that kind of lined up there like this. And that seems to be sort of how it's supposed to go in. I know it's upside down, guys, but kind of like that. Right? Kind of like that. That seems to be how it seems to be happy in that position. It seems to be happy right there. Yeah, okay. We're going to call that done. And so the next step, of course, is installing our engine and our lower radiator hose. So we've got our engine, our now drive shaft, and we got to get number 24. And what I should have done was painted our hoses. That is very unfortunate. My bumper, front bumper, is broken here, and I don't know why. I don't know how it got broken. It's very unfortunate that it's broken. So, glue it is. Let's put some glue on there. And, wow, putting that glue on it just made it like break completely off. So I'm literally holding it with my finger right now. Holding my bumper piece on with my finger in the hopes that it stays there. Okay. So that's that. I might wind up having to glue that again as time goes by. But anyway, I don't need this sprue right now. I need the sprue with the hoses. This might be in the box. Yes, looks like it. Okay, so our lower rad hose is number 24, which is this guy here. Here's our lower rad hose right there. So it seems to have a little tab on one spot. I suppose it's supposed to help you guide it into exactly where it needs to go in the bottom. It shows, it's not really a tab. It looks like a tab in the instructions, but there's not a tab. Well, there is. There is and there isn't. It's just kind of this little spot. But we got a flat spot here, just so you can see it. I'm going to scrape my black paint off here. Okay. Okay. So we've got a flat spot right there at the tip of the hose, and that's going to go onto the very little flat spot right there at the bottom of the rad. And so if I have that like that, that brings the other part of the hose up to the water pump. It almost looks like this is not the correct hose. They have the hose just angled off like shoom, like it's sheared off, but they have a hole in the edge of the water pump where it's supposed to go, and they show a little peg sticking out of it that would actually go into that little hole. But we're just going to have it like this, and it's not going to line up. It's really and now it's on the floor. I guess it just didn't want to go. So I don't know, they're not telling me any order to do this in, but I have a feeling if I put the engine in first, I won't be able to do the hose. This is also really far back. Yeah, it's gonna line up. It will line up, so I can't really complain. It'll line up, and I can put it in after, so that's going to be done after we get the engine glued. Because remember what I was talking about last time with our exhaust pipes not lining up? This is going to be the tricky part. I'm going to have to use CA glue on our pipes in order for them to actually stick to the pipes. So in anticipation, I'm going to get my accelerant ready, get my CA glue here. We're going to put our drive shaft in. I think what I'll do is I'll put the drive shaft in on the engine first, like this, and just let it sit there like that, giving us a little bit of a gap. Remember, because the engine's going to have to sit a little bit forward. That's not the part I wanted to undo. There we go. So, because my drive shaft where it connects to the tranny is going to be hidden, I'm just going to put a big drop of CA glue right there. Put our drive shaft in. Give it a bit of a gap. There we go. All right, so we've got it connected. Now, I should actually put a little bit more on there. More on. There we go. Spray a little accelerant there. Okay, so our drive shaft is now connected. So now I can play around. That means I can kind of get in here and play around with it, get that lined up with the rear end and all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's still got a little bit of a play to it. It's not hardened up super hard. It's just a matter of getting it lined up in the diff. So, and in theory, yeah, we're not in all the way. And I did just break it loose. Maybe putting it in the transmission wasn't the best idea. So now it's hard to get it lined up into the diff. Okay, I think that's pretty much good enough with my testing. So I'm going to put a couple of dabs of CA glue on these. Actually, change my mind. I'm going to do it on the end of the exhaust pipes. There's 1, 2. It's like I mentioned before, or last time, I have to bend those pipes to get them in there. I'm going to have to bend them, touch everything, and all that fun stuff. My transmission is being a pain in the ass. Let me rephrase. My drive shaft is being a pain in the ass. Yeah, fucking fall out. Piece of shit. Sorry. Now I got glue on my fingers. Okay, drive shaft can just kind of sit there. There we go. Okay. Our exhaust pipes are waiting patiently for an engine. And I need to squeeze them together a little bit. Get them lined up on our pipes. Okay, we're very crooked. Okay, my transmission peg does not want to go into its hole. Because my engine will not go back any farther. As much as I might want it to, it won't. So, we're going to rip this out of here. As much as I want that to stay, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to trim off my transmission peg. So that I can get that down on there. I need to reapply CA glue onto that because my pipe came off. Get that back on there quickly. Alright, let's get some CA glue onto our drive shaft again. And I'm going to see if I can get my knife in here, trim that peg off. Peg off. You peg off. out. I can literally say now that I've got a piece of me on this car because my finger stuck to the CA glue I'd put on the drive shaft and really took a chunk of my skin off trying to separate it. So I need to get some glue onto that peg there and then clamp it down. So the best way to do that is get in here with this glue and then do that. And I'm going to use a clamp here. That clamp is too small. How about one of these clamps? Too small. I gotta step it up a notch. This is overkill for sure. I kind of heard a crunch when I clamped that down, and I don't know what came free. I really don't know. But it couldn't have been good. Couldn't have been good. Finger feels weird now with CA glue on it. Anyway, that is it for that. We are done. Done with the CA glue, at least for now. Okay, so while this is drying a little bit, let's have a look at what's next. So that was step 9. Now I still haven't put the hose in, but that's okay. We can actually, I could do that now, I guess, while I'm trying to fiddle around with it. Looking at the top here, my engine does look like it's crooked. My engine mounts seem to be correct, although it does want to... My exhaust pipes are just kind of forcing the engine to sit in a funny little way. I kind of need to press it down like this and hold it. She wants to pop up. She shouldn't pop up. She's not a pop-up. It's not a pop-up book. Will that hold it too much? You have to be careful when it comes to clamps. You put too much pressure and then it's just too much. You don't want too much pressure. It can be a tricky balancing game. With engine mounts. Again, my transmission doesn't want to stay in its home. This is one of those things you just have to have patience, hold it by hand, and give a count to 150 and just wait. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just have to wait. And then, that's strange, suddenly it moved? What the heck? Just out of the blue, I'm sitting here, I didn't move, but the engine suddenly did. And I don't know why. I don't know why, guys. also have my alternator wires acting funny. Anyway, our engine seems to be holding now. And of course, I do have one of my spark plug wires came off of the distributor. It needs to go back in its home. That's good enough. Don't need anything fancy. That seems to be holding and is done. Let's get this clamp out of here. So, where were we? Radiator hose. Before I suddenly decided I needed to hold the engine for 5 minutes. Rad hose. This has to go in down in here. So let's put try and get this in a way that I can actually hold on to it. So, like I said, it doesn't really line up on our water pump properly, but it's close. It's close enough anyway. Get that to touch. And that ought to hold it. As long as I don't move it, it should hold now. So you can see how the rad hose goes in there. And it is contacting the water pump. It just doesn't have a peg like it's supposed to. But it's in there, it's touching, so yeah, good enough. So that is step 9 with all that done. Step 10 looks like our upper rad hose, number 25. Is going to go in. And so where was number 25? Where is that? Are you number 25? Here we go. Number 25. So it looks like number 25 actually has the thermostat housing as part of it, which means part of this has to be painted aluminum. So the trick is now which end is that. So looking at the picture and the way this goes, it looks like this is the end with the housing, the thermostat housing. So this is going to go in like that. Which side is down? Going to go like that and go into our radiator like this. It's not the best fit, I'll tell you that. But I need to paint that aluminum first. It's going to be too hard to paint it after. So shake that up and get some paint on this thing. They actually want you to paint both ends aluminum. So maybe I'll just do that. Let's put a clamp on here. They want both ends aluminum. case you're wondering, yes, I paint all my parts all the way around. We're dealing with three-dimensional things, so you got to paint in 3D too. If for no other reason, just because it's the right thing to do. You know, like they say, do the right thing. It's the right thing to do. I do kind of try to live by the philosophy, it's never wrong to do what's right. It's never right to do what's wrong. I haven't always lived that, but I believe it. I've done plenty of wrong in my life, that's for sure. But just ask my two ex-wives. Yes, that's right. Okay, so we have some aluminum on our hose here. And fortunately, to me, paint dries really fast. Now I don't like leaving the hose flat black. I like to paint it rubber black, but it is a little bit easier to paint it afterwards and get some rubber black on there. The trick is going to be getting this thing lined up properly so that it actually connects with not only our engine, but our radiator. The alignment is the tricky thing, that's for sure. And I can kind of get it into its spot on the rad, but whether it's going to stay there or not is a whole other story. See, it's really literally just sits on the edge. It's like two flat surfaces just going doink, and you're supposed to just live with that. Like, really. My fan blade happens to be in the way just ever so slightly. I'm going to trim off our fan blade here. Fan blade is interfering. Still interfering. I'm gonna have to trim more. Still? Holy crap. Fan blade's going to be hidden under the hose mostly, so it's not really going to be that noticeable that it chopped off a big chunk of it. But that seemed to do it. I get it lined up on the engine, it doesn't really line up on the radiator. But that's okay, because I think what I can do could always push the radiator back, like so. Now, of course, my whole thing about the radiator being 90 degrees, now that I had it glued with CA glue, it wants to come back and not lean any farther forward. It's almost like what would be a good thing to do, put something a little bit heavy leaning against it to help it stay here in this position while the glue sets up. So with step 10 done, we'd be moving on to step 11, which is our upper A-arms. That's number 57 and 102. That's very random, separate numbers, especially when they're on the same sprue. Why didn't you do 57, 58? Like, seriously. Anyway, 102 is our driver's side, which is what's facing me right now. Of course, I need my nippers. That's okay. I'm going to use these ones. We can substitute these just for now. That's 102. And that's 57. And that's it for that sprue. Onto the floor you go. Let's clean up our ugly looking nubs here. Of course, these things back in the day, stamped steel or maybe cast iron. So we got a peg in the center that's going to line up with that little D-shaped hole there, in theory. And make this pretend that it's part of the suspension. Just like that. It's basically pretending. So we'll just put some glue onto the D. Ew. You don't normally want to put glue on your D, guys. I don't really recommend that very much. I can't recommend that. Don't glue your D. There we go. Okay, there's one side. And this one's going to do the same thing. Way over here. Once it lines up, it lines up. It's actually on an angle too. It's kind of weird. It doesn't really sit flat. Underneath is kind of curved. Sits like that. I actually got to double check this. Do I have this in the actual spot? It's supposed to be. Yes, I do. It's in the right spot. Okay. There we go. It just sits so far back. Just like that. So there's your upper A-arms in. On each side. Upper rad hose is connected, sort of kind of connected. It's yeah, it is what it is. So that's step 11. what's step 12? Step 12 is tires. But I think what we're going to have to do is deal with that next time. Okay, I'll show you guys what I do with the tires. We're going to do that next time. Let's just quickly have a look at our body. See how she looks. She's been sitting there for almost an entire hour, upside down, after my first coat of paint. And I have to say, it does look pretty good, but I can see some of my sanding scratches beneath it. And that's because it's just one thin coat of paint, right? So you can see all the scratches, and guess what? I don't get any dust on it. There's no dust. So that is really nice, but I do need to do another coat, and I got to do thicker, okay? So I don't have any dust. I can't believe that. That's fantastic. But we got to clean up those scratches, okay? So let's shake up our can, and we'll get that little anti-static brush again. And we'll put a nice thick coat on this time, in the hopes that it stays dust free. I think really it was just a fluke, but then again, I do see a speck of dust there. I do see a speck of dust, so I need to get sandpaper. Actually no, where's my 10,000 grit? You can wet sand with this stuff too, but I just want to get down through it. This is the thing. What I really should do, now that I'm thinking about it, what I really should do is let this cure overnight and wet sand it. Do it proper. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to stop being in such a rush, and I'm going to do it proper. She can sit there and she can cure overnight. I got another little piece of dust that I didn't see till just now, right at the back of the trunk, gas tank, whatever you call it. Yeah, so I'm going to do this right, and I'm just going to let it cure overnight. I'm going to wet sand it tomorrow. Yes, that's what we're going to do. Which also means this is where I'm going to leave it for today. We're going to call this done for now. Let's put that back in there. And yeah, so let this all dry, be happy, and let the body dry and be happy. Next time we're going to deal with tires, see what we do with those, get the assemblies done, and maybe do the clear coat on the body. We'll see. We will see how it goes. We'll see how my next couple of coats of black go. Okay. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for coming out. Thank you for all the support. And don't forget, leave a comment down below. I'd love to read your guys' comments. I'm not seeing a lot of comments lately, and I'd love to read them. I love reading your comments, and you guys know that I do reply to them. I do reply to your comments, so go ahead. Leave comments. Ask me questions. Tell me how I'm doing. Tell me what I'm doing right. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Doesn't matter. I invite all kinds of criticism. I want to learn, right? So, again, thank you guys for watching. Check out the links in the description box down below. You can see my X channel and my Instagram and stuff like that. And hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that too. I want to thank you guys again, and we'll see you all in the next one.